Did you know, according to the National Institute of Health, a federal focal point for health and medical research, it has been established that on average, a human heart beats at about 115,000 times per day. But wait, so if on average, the heart of a human being beats at about 115,000 times a day, does it mean that if my own heart beats below that, I am below average and I am more prone to get a heart condition? I better find out more. Now, it has also been discovered that the heart pumps approximately 6 liters of blood in a single minute, which then amounts to 8,000 liters of blood in a single day. And this is enough to fill this tanker. But question then comes, is this the same heart that Solomon spoke about in Proverbs 23 verse 7, where he said, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he? Or perhaps there is yet another heart to be discovered. In this episode, our main topic of discussion says, what is in your heart? Now, to find out, is the heart in question the one that pumps blood or the one that Solomon was referring to? Stick around to find out more. Greetings and welcome back to the channel, guys. Welcome back. Now, our topic of discussion says, what is in your heart? Right? What is in your heart? Now, without wasting further time, we're going to be getting our context for our message today from the book of 2 Chronicles chapter 1, verse 10, 11, and 12. And that is where we are going to get our main context from today. But without wasting further time, let us jump straight into verse 11 and see what it says. And God said to Solomon, because this was in thine heart, and thou hast not asked riches, wealth, or honor, nor the life of thine enemies, neither yet hast asked long life, but hast asked wisdom and knowledge for thyself, that thou mayest judge my people, over whom I have made thee king. And God said, because it was in your heart. Now I want you to hold that thought, right? Hold that thought. Now, before we move on, if you have not watched the previous episode where we talked about the 4 most important lessons, the hidden lessons in First Chronicles that you might have missed, if you have not watched that episode, guys, where we talked about various lessons, I'm not going to preempt it here. If you have not watched it, here is a preview of that episode. When God is no longer on your side, instead of the enemy running away from you, you will be the one that is doing the right thing. Your mindset, guys. You need to change your mind. Average human being is using only 10% of your brain. Betrayal comes in different forms and from different. For God says, revenge belongs to me. Now, if you have not watched that episode, guys, make sure that you go and watch it, for it was jam-packed with information and knowledge that can help you to progress with your life, right? And you can be able to apply those lessons in your life. Now, coming on to our message for today, guys. And God said, because it was in thine heart. Now, which heart is God referring to? Because remember, we established that there's the human heart, which pumps at about 115,000 times a day. It pumps 115,000 times. But also, there's another heart that Solomon talks about in Proverbs chapter 23, verse 7, where he says, as a man thinketh, so is he. So now, which heart is God referring to? Is he referring to the heart that pumps blood? Or is he also referring to the heart that Solomon referred to that says, as you think, you become? Now, how do we know which heart God was referring to? Now, let us read verse 10 and see what it says. Give me now wisdom and knowledge, that I may go out and come in before this people. For who can judge this thy people that is so great? Now, as we just read in verse 10, Solomon then says, give me wisdom and knowledge. But then question then comes, is this the wisdom and knowledge that the heart can know that today I need to pump at least about 115,000 times so that I can avoid having heart conditions and be more prone to getting all kinds of sicknesses that involve the heart, right? Is it that type of wisdom and knowledge that this type of heart needs, right? And we realize here, guys, that no, it is not that kind of heart, for this heart does not operate on that wisdom or knowledge, rather. rather, right? So it is not that heart that the Bible is referring to. So which heart is the Bible referring to when it says that because it was in your heart? Now, guys, when Solomon says, give me wisdom and knowledge, now I just want you to think with me. Where is your knowledge and wisdom stored? It is stored up here, right? So when Solomon says, give me wisdom and knowledge, he is basically referring to the mind, guys. When the Bible says the heart, it is referring to the mind. And I just want you to keep that in mind, for it is very important for you to keep that in mind as we go on with our lesson, right? So just keep that in mind. Whenever we say heart from now onwards, right? Don't refer back to the one that's the National Institute of Health refers to, that they say this one pumps about 115,000 times. No, guys, we have now excluded that, right? That is not the heart we're talking about here. But now we are talking about the heart, this, which is this one, guys, the mind, right? Now we are talking about the mind. So just keep those things in mind. Now, this is why Proverbs chapter 4 verse 23 says, right? And you can read it from the New Living Translation. Proverbs chapter 4 verse 23 then says, guard your heart above all else, for it determines the course of your life, right? For it determines the course of your life. Now, just to put our point into perspective, guys, let me give you a brief example.
So let's say you're walking, right? And then all of a sudden you hear the word, watch out. The first thing you do is to cover your head and not your heart.
So now, guys, we've just established that, you know what, your mind knows, your body knows on a subconscious level, right? Now, there's the conscious level and the subconscious level. Now, on the subconscious level, right, automatically, right, when there's danger, your mind or your body quickly reacts to cover your head. And this is on a subconscious level. But what else? What another example can we give to make sure that we are able to understand this concept?
As you walk and you hear the word, watch out. Do you rush to cover your feet? No. I mean, that is absurd, right?
Now, as we've just established also, guys, we see that you are not going to be able to run and cover your feet, right? You are not going to rush to cover your feet. So then why is it that when it comes to a conscious level, we neglect the things that come into our mind, right? On a subconscious level, your mind, your body knows that the first thing that it should protect in terms of danger is the mind. But why is it on a conscious level we neglect the things that were put into our mind? Now, this can range from the music that you listen to, right? Some of us, we just listen to any type of music, but we then fail to realize that, you know what, the type of music that we listen to, it is going to determine the course of our lives. And we see here, guys, that in the music that you listen to, guard jealously what comes into your mind on a conscious level, right? On a conscious level, guard jealously the type of music that you listen to. For that type of music will determine the course of your life. Now, another example that we can give as well is the type of programs that you watch on your TV, right? The type of programs that you watch on your TV. This can include horror, this can include all kinds of action and violence things, guys. And we see here, guys, the Bible says, above all else, right, above your feet, above your hands, above your legs, above your hips, above anything, right? The Bible says, above all else, first thing you should guard jealously of is your mind. So when you now allow these TV programs to come and while you watch anything and you consume anything, remember, these things are going to determine the course of your life. Now, another example as well is the food that you eat, right? You become what you eat as well, guys. If you just eat food that is not healthy for you, food that is not good for your health, food that is going to cause a detrimental effect on your health, right? These things are going to affect you on the long run. And we see here as well, guys, that you become what you eat as well. So, guys, if it is on a subconscious level that your body knows that it should protect the mind, now you should also bring it to a conscious level and start being conscious of the music that you listen to. Start also being cautious of the programs that you are watching as well. Also start being cautious of the food that you are eating, for it determines the course of your life. Now, if you're listening to this message via YouTube and not the podcast, just keep in mind, guys, that you are now available on Anchor, Spotify, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Overcast, as well as on Amazon Music. And you can be sure to follow us on any of those 6 different platforms. Now, when you read verse 11, God then says, because it was in your heart. Now, what seeds are you planting in your heart today? What is it that you are having in your heart? Now, some plant seeds of saying to themselves, all men are abusive and all women are abusive as well. And you plant those seeds into your mind, right? And you say to yourself, all men are trash, all women are trash as well. And you say to yourself, I think I'm going to go out and I think I'm also going to reap different results from the ones that I'm planting into my own mind. And I want to tell you today that what you are planting, you are going to get it back, right? Now, that is just a point I want you to keep in mind, guys. What you plant, that is what you're going to get back. Now, if you also take it a step further, right, and we also ask the question, right, and say, some also go to the point of saying, we are just going to be failures in life, right? We are just not going to get the good results that we deserve to have, right? We don't deserve good results, but we deserve failure. But I want to tell you once again today that there's things that you are planting today, the things that you are planting into your heart. And remember, the heart is the mind. The things that you are planting into your mind today, those are the results that you are going to reap. You cannot say, I'm planting failure in myself and you expect for yourself to reap success. For remember, do not be deceived. For whatsoever a man sows, that shall he reap. So if you plant seeds of failure, if you plant seeds of saying, I deserve this kind of things, bad things and things of sicknesses and illnesses, remember, you are going to reap what you sow. So start planting seeds that are good for you, guys. Start planting seeds that are good for you. You see, your mind is immoral, right? Your mind is immoral. It is like the earth. It doesn't care what you plant in it. But one thing that we know for sure is that it is going to return to you what it is that you plant, right? So you can plant deadly things in your mind. And remember, it doesn't care what you plant in your mind. It doesn't care. It doesn't filter anything. Whatever it is that you plant in your mind, remember, it is going to return those things to you. Now, if we take our Bibles to John chapter 10, verse 10, right? The Bible then tells us that the thief comes to steal, kill, and destroy. But Jesus then says, but I have come to give you life, that you might have it abundantly, right? And this is God who's speaking to you today. So if God says he has come to give you life, why then would you go ahead and plant seeds of failure? Why then would you go ahead and plant seeds of saying, you know what, these things don't belong to me, and you start to say, I'm not going to be able to achieve my goals? Guys, you need to change the way that you do your things. For remember, we said your mind is immoral. Whatever it is that you plant, it doesn't care. But one thing that we know for sure, it is that it is going to return to you what it is that you plant. Now, if you're new to the channel or perhaps a returning viewer, make sure that you subscribe and hit that notification bell so that you do not miss when a new video pops up. In conclusion, let us read 2 Chronicles chapter 1, verse 12 and see what it says.
Wisdom and knowledge is granted unto thee, and I will give thee riches and wealth and honor, such as none of the kings have had that have been before thee, neither shall there any after thee have the like.
God then says to Solomon, because it was in your heart, now I am going to grant you that which you had in your mind. God is looking at you today and is looking at the things that you have in your mind. And God says, because it is in your mind, this must be important to you. Therefore, God shall bring it to pass. Now, whether these are things that you are sicknesses or things of illness or things of failure, God looks at your heart and says, because these are the things that you're constantly thinking about, right? These are the things that you are also going to get, right? So nothing, whatever thoughts that you think in secret, guys, they will be revealed in public. Whatever thoughts that you have in secret, you see, thoughts are one thing that can never be kept secret forever. For what you think in secret will be revealed in public. That is why Luke chapter 8 verse 17 then says,
For nothing is secret that shall not be made manifest, neither anything hid that shall not be known and come abroad.
This was when Jesus was speaking, and he says, nothing that you do in secret will remain a secret. And he says, whatever is done in secret will manifest itself into the light. Whatever you do in the darkness will come again into the light. What is it that you have in your heart today? That is the question of our topic for today. What is it that you have in your heart today? For remember, the things that you're constantly thinking about, remember that you are going to reap those results, right? Whatever it is that you constantly think to yourself, and you think to yourself that I deserve these things, remember, you are going to be able to get and acquire those things that you secretly think about. This is what the Bible says in Luke chapter 8 verse 17, right? Now, if we also, guys, read another book, a book called As a Man Thinketh, right? As a Man Thinketh by James Allen. He says, man is the creator of his own circumstance. He thinks in secret and it comes to pass, right? Whatever it is that you think in secret, he says, you think in secret, but it comes to pass. And this is also in alignment with what Luke chapter 8 verse 17 says, where Jesus said, whatever you think in secret will come to pass, manifest itself abroad. And another version says it will manifest itself into the light. And that is what I want you to keep in mind, guys. Now, what is in your heart today? Now, Solomon had wisdom and knowledge in his heart, right? And God says, because it was in your heart, it must have been important to you, right? Now, there are things that come as packages, guys. You see, when Solomon asked for wisdom and knowledge, God then says, because you asked for wisdom and knowledge, I am going to give you riches and honor and all these other things, right? And wealth and all of that, right? But also, guys, in contrary to that, if you also thinking about poverty and all of those things, what is aligned with poverty? You are going to be getting illnesses, sicknesses, depression, anxiety, and all those things, because you are going to live in constant fear, right? And you're not even going to be able to live to your fullest potential, because you're always going to be thinking, what is tomorrow holding for me? What should I eat tomorrow? What am I going to be doing tomorrow, right? Because you are constantly putting poverty thoughts into your mind. And that is what I just want you to keep in mind, right? For some thoughts, they come with packages. Which package are you choosing for yourself today, right? Which package are you choosing for yourself today? Solomon looked at this and he said, you know what, I'm going to choose the package that is wisdom and knowledge, right? Because it was in his heart. And that such a package then brought wealth, knowledge, honor, and riches, and all these kind of things. But if you choose the other package, the package of poverty, to have poverty thoughts, to have illness thoughts, to have failure thoughts, remember, you are going to reap those results. So choose carefully which package you want. And that is the end of our message for today, guys. So remember, as we end our message for today, which package are you going to choose? And what is in